This is Robert Merdlacci, the Mindshare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to this week in Canadian EdTech Mindshare TV podcast. I'm honored to have join me for a Mindshare Learning moment, Maynor Barrientos, who is part of the organizing committee of the ICDE, the International Conference for Distance Education, World Conference taking place in Costa Rica. Thank you for joining me this morning, bright and early, Maynor.
Thank you, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, congratulations on being the host site. I was fascinated to learn that this conference is in its 86th year and it has its roots in Canada. The first one took place in British Columbia, I think, through open distance education. And talk to me a little bit about the evolution because distance education is not new.
It is not new, and we're very proud to be the hosting organization of the 29th edition of this prestigious conference of the ICDE organization. As it was the first time in Canada, it is the first time that Central America will be hosting the event, and it's only the third time that is being hosted in Latin America. So we're very proud about that too. And yeah, these are great moments to talk about distance education because it has changed a lot. It has become mainstreaming now. It's not an atypical model anymore. It has been used now and implemented in all the levels of the educational systems in probably all the countries in the world. And so I think it's great times to talk about online learning, distance education, technological
Absolutely.
transformation, etc.
And COVID really, no doubt, was a mission critical point in inflection point for online learning in a crisis to help sustain learning. And you're at a university. Talk to us about that. Is your university solely online?
It is becoming a fully online education university, but we are, since we were created, we are at distance. We have been a distance education, higher education institution. So
And a
it was.
sizable one at that. You're about 40,000 students.
We are over 40,000 students right now in academic programs. If we take into account long life learning programs, I think we're getting into the 60,000 numbers, right?
And you're a researcher. So what fascinates you about the research? What's your interest in this space?
Well, I have been a professor and researcher at the university for 26 years now. So I have moved in different fields. First, intercultural education, intercultural skills and abilities. And then I moved into the fundamentals of distance education, and I direct some research groups at the university. And then now I'm concentrating my research efforts on the topic of internationalization of distance education and globalization. I think that's the topic that I have been researching for the last 5 years now.
Right.
And I'm fascinated, thrilled about that.
Well,
And
there's no borders in distance learning, is there? That's the beauty of it. I did my master's in learning technology, 85% of it online through Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. So we only spent a week together, but then it was primarily online. Oh, I see Dr. Ron Elston from Contact North. So there is a fairly strong connection to Canada in this case. Maxime Jean-Louis, the CEO of Contact North, I believe they're a partner sponsor of the event.
it is unsponsored, and they have been a tremendous ally for the organization and also a good advisor since they have a lot of experience organizing these types of events, including the 26th, I think, edition of the ICDE World Conference in Toronto in
Right.
2017. A big success, by the way.
Excellent. And you've got some world-class speakers coming to the conference, I see.
We do. We're very proud of the keynote speakers that we have, a team that we have assembled from all the continents of the world. That's very important. A very good gender equilibrium. I think representatives of different generations of scholars and leaders in the area of distance and online education. I think we're going to have a lot of perspectives, and we have people from Latin America, we have people from Europe, Asia, Africa, everywhere. We have Pulelenka Bula, who is the first woman leading UNISA. We have the president of the
Amazing.
Education Open University of China. We have scholars. We have leaders. We have people from UNESCO in Costa Rica. So I think this it's a good team of keynote
Ta-
speakers.
Talk to me about the democratization of education through online learning and how that has helped globally and eliminate the borders and make in terms of an equity perspective. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, sure. And I think that our university, UNED in Costa Rica, Costa Rican State Distance University, is a good example of that. We are the most inclusive university in the country. We have um, 5% of our population comes from or studies from their indigenous territories, the, what you call the First Nations. So they don't have to.
Um,
We have more than 1,500 students from indigenous populations and territories. Uh, we
Amazing.
are we are the only
Congratulations.
yeah, it's a good, tremendous numbers. I think they're records numbers. Comparatively speaking, in terms of the size of the population of the country and the size of the university. We are the only university that offers majors and formal programs in prisons in Costa Rica for people who are being condemned to spend time in jail. 70% of our population is women, right? Is female. Many people who we have a coverage of 98% of the country's political territories that we call districts. And the major population of immigrants living in Costa Rica are studying at UNED. So, and I'm sure that every distance organization, distance education university in the world is probably it's similar to UNED in terms of opening education to everybody, to different
Right.
economic sectors, to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to study or to pursue higher education in the country. And we are not only in distance education, not only is concentrating its efforts on majors or formal education, long life learning is
Right.
almost synonymous to open and distance education. So I think that
Right.
for a university that has this model, it is easier to adapt
That's no longer an
to new
option, is
people.
it? Lifelong, the notion of lifelong learning and continually, continuous improvement on your honing your skills because things are just so rapidly changing in society.
And people need to adapt to those changes, and not only changes, but people are not constrained anymore to their territories and to their geographical or social socioeconomical conditions. They
Yeah.
can move up, down, east, west very easily. Borders are disappearing in terms of education. Now we are trying to implement, with the help of our friends from Ireland, at this Dublin City University, we are trying to implement a framework for micro credentialing in Costa Rica
Right.
and Adonet, and that's a great opportunity for our university and country to really be an actor, an active actor in the education transformation in the world.
Fascinating. And you've got some great partnerships. I see. You've got Contact North is a big partner and other organizations.
Yeah, it's a
How
big.
important is that?
It is important because our university, I would say, even though it's a distance online learning education institution, and it has been very successful in coverage and in education and inclusion in the country, we have been timid in terms of sending our services and products to the world, right? So
Right.
all these partnerships and collaborative networks are very important for us to go beyond our borders as we should and try, why not, to join hands and help the transformation of educational environments in different countries and continents. Why not going to Africa with our services and philosophy? Why not um, making stronger networks in Central America and the Caribbean? Why not um, double certifications with Canadian organizations, right? Why
Yeah.
not?
Well, we're pleased to be part of it and partner with
Yeah, and the level of partnership that we have achieved is not only in terms of other um, universities, but networks, organizations, NGOs, organizations that are supporting and financing research in Latin America, organizations like yours that have these large audiences and people who are preoccupied for really our society, building new, what I call new societal networks and connections, right? To imagine new utopia, right? Building new ways of relationships between individuals and ecosystems. So I think that this building these networks are really pushing us closer to our goal of transforming society to all together.
Well, it is really at the end of the day, it's about as much as about AI that's talked about today, and I must ask you about that. It's about HI and human intelligence and human connections that really makes is the technology is a secret sauce that binds us together, but it's those human connections that are vitally important. So kudos to you for being part of the organizing team and hosting this. And Costa Rica, I've never been. I'm looking forward to coming down to Costa Rica. I'll have to get some pointers for you on where I might hang out on the weekend
Sure.
before or after to enjoy the surroundings and the rainforest that I always hear about. But it's that learning too that happens when travel. I learned so much when I travel. Learning by doing and hands-on learning is also part of the process and building community.
Sure, and some people believe that AI, for example, or artificial intelligence or robots are taking over, and that humans are going to be put aside. But I think that is the contrary. I think that if you can travel and travel smarter, and you can connect, you can enjoy human interaction in better ways, right? Many communities in Costa Rica here have been put into the map because of the artificial intelligence and all these networks, social networks, and technology. And they are developing rural community tourism here and sending messages from their community without spending any money, opening to the world and receiving a lot of tourists who are interested in going there exactly. And those tourist attractions or tourist places don't appear or ha, hadn't appeared on the maps before of the tourist guides, right? You have the big monuments, the big cities, but you don't have these communities. And now communities are on the map, and it's because of this transformation. Now, so when you come, I can bring you to the rainforest where I actually live. And why do I live in the rainforest right now? Because I do remote work, so I can
Right.
technically
That's
live everywhere in the jungle if I want, right? And if I got a good connection, right? So I will be
amazing.
very happy to tour you around.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know it's 2 hours earlier than my time here, Maynor. Looking forward to meeting you live and in person, and really grateful of your time again.
No, thank you for having me, and make sure that we are ready for welcoming you all, and we have open arms.
Thank you again. That was Maynor Barrientos, part of the organizing team at the ICDE International Conference taking place in Costa Rica, November 6th to 10th. Be sure to check out www.mindsharelearning.com to get your latest issue of the Mindshare Learning Report, and be sure to register for this conference. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.